Hi everyone, it's My World Monday, and today we're talking about the CDC's guidances for our K-12 organizations and our early childhood organizations in the midst of school closures and how we're responding to our students with disabilities. I can't wait to share what I've researched, and let's go check it out. CDC has put out interim guidance for our K-12 organizations around students with disabilities and being able to provide services to those students in this coronavirus time that we have while schools are closed. And I'm taking this opportunity to talk to everyone about what I've learned about our special education services to our families who receive them and early intervention services as well. Given my background in education, I received an email from the U.S. Department of Education around these guidances, and there were two question and answer portions of this guidance, and two particular questions that I'd like to review the answers on, so that you could have an opportunity to hear what they are sharing with education providers on like what to do. The guidance is moving forward in this situation. Question number one is the LEA, and the LEA is the local education agency, and that is your child's educational provider. That's the school district, that's the charter network. Um, is the LEA required to continue to provide free and appropriate public education, also known as FAPE? That's a term our families are pretty familiar with. To continue to provide FAPE to students with disabilities during a school closure caused by COVID-19 outbreak. The answer to this question reads, if the LEA closes school or slow or stop the spread of COVID-19, which that is what all of our schools are doing across the state of Delaware and surrounding states, and does not provide educational services to the general education population, then the LEA would not be required to provide services to the students with disabilities during the same time period. Once school resumes, the LEA must make every effort to provide special education and related services to the child according to the child's IEP or the student's entitled FAPE under Section 504. And that's consistent with the plan developed to meet the requirements of Section 504. The U.S. Department of Education also goes on to say that it understands that there may be exceptional circumstances that could affect how a particular service is provided. In addition, an IEP team and, as appropriate to the individual student with disability, the personnel responsible for ensuring FAPE to a student for the purposes of Section 504 would be required to make an individual determination as to whether compensation services are needed under application standards and requirements. So, long story short, if school is going to provide remote access, packets, all of the different things that you hear across social media, across our news networks, that all schools are really working hard to do, if they're going to provide any type of education to our general education population, then they're also required to provide education for our students with disabilities according to their IEP. And so that is exactly what the second part of the section says. If the LEA continues to provide educational opportunities to the general student population during a school closure, the school must ensure students with disabilities also have equal access to the same opportunities, including the provision of FAPE. LEAs and schools must ensure, to the greatest extent possible, each student with a disability can be provided the special education and related services identified in the student's IEP under IDEA or a plan developed under Section 504. So that's hard, right? I'm an educator. I have lived in the K-12 world for a very long time, at least 15 years. This is hard to do. This is hard to do. But I know there are very hardworking people in education that are working around the clock to do whatever they can to provide the necessary um, the necessary supports. The second question. So, question number 2: must a state-led agency continue to provide early intervention services to infants and toddlers with disabilities during a COVID-19 outbreak if the offices are closed? And so we know that in states across the country, their government agencies have been shut down. They've been closed to stop the spread of the coronavirus. So we know that this is a question that applies to us because our state agency is closed. And the question is, well, will my child get services and intervention during this time period? And so the answer is, it's pretty complex, but I'm going to read it to you. If the offices of the state-led agency or the early intervention service program or provider, if they're closed, then services would not need to be provided to infants and toddlers with disabilities and to their families during this period of time. If the lead agency's offices are open, but the offices of the early intervention service program or provider in a specific geographical area are closed due to the spread or the concern of COVID-19, then the early intervention service program or provider would not be required to provide services during their closure. If the offices remain open, but services cannot be provided in a particular location, such as a child's home, by a particular early intervention service program or provider, or to a particular child who may be infected by the coronavirus, then the lead agency must ensure the continuity of services, for example, by providing services in an alternate location, by using different early intervention services providers, or through an alternative means as a consultant service to a parent. And that could be maybe a video. An example of that would be my therapist shared, hey, well, I could come to your home if you were concerned about me interacting with the baby because I live in an area that has been infected by COVID-19. If you would like me to just come to your home and just show you some of the interventions and the practice you can do with your baby on a doll, I can do that. And that's cool. It just, for me, I just took a different route and said, let's just follow up in 2 weeks. And that was my decision. I guess a question might be, would I be able to make up that particular week of service because I chose to cancel? And I'm thinking no, because it was my decision to cancel. And the provider was not, the therapist was not ill, and she was ready to go. And so I'm okay with that too. But those are the things that we're faced with right now. So the CDC provided guidances. Again, it was about a 3 to 4 page Q&A, very informative, a lots, and it's just more information. That was one section. That was a section based on students with disabilities. It went on to talk about early childhood providers. It went on to talk about um, grading systems and interim assessments and accountability. It went on to talk about free and reduced lunch. I mean, it goes on and on. There's lots of great information. The CDC is really working hard to try and troubleshoot through all this. It's all new for everyone. So I would encourage families who are interested in reading some of that, and especially those of you who are leading schools and leading organizations that educate our children, that you have an opportunity to read the CDC's guidances. They're trying their best to get ahead of this, and I think at this point, with everyone trying to figure this out, that's a great read, full of information that would really help you plan for your next steps and advocate for yourself, or advocate for your school, to really know what you should be doing at this time. I bring this all up to kind of bring to light that there's so many things that we're just not prepared for and not thinking about, and this is a learning opportunity for everyone. As a mom, so I'm thinking about this as a mother, I'm immediately thinking about all the aspects of education that at this time our schools really don't have the opportunity to get in front of. I mean, if you find out at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock on a Friday, and in one state, I have talked to a friend who's in another state, they actually received communication on 4 o'clock on Sunday that on Monday their schools would be closed. Again, you don't have a lot of planning time or opportunity. And so I feel for my fellow colleagues in the school system right now, and as I'm home on maternity leave, kind of thinking about them and their situation. And then I'm also, as a mother, thinking about all, as a result of not being prepared or planned, the number of things that are going to fall through the cracks. So thanks again for watching. This was the last My World Monday before Rock Your Socks. So I really just want to take a quick second to thank everybody for your support. I don't do videos, but I'm so glad that I have started, and I will continue. I've pushed myself out there. And as scary as it is, it has been a very rewarding experience, fulfilling experience, and most of all, it's been one that has allowed me to stretch myself and get out of my comfort zone. And so, anytime you can grow and become better due to experiences that you're fearful of doing, that's always a good thing for yourself and growth. And so, I'm very grateful to that. I hope everyone's rocking their socks on 3/21, March 21st. And I will sign off with a final thought Friday right before our Rock Your Socks Day. Thanks again.